Influence of spiritual teachings, light, truth, and love. Thus saith the Lord. Here, before this word, there is no man who does not tremble both inside and outside his being, that is to say, in spirit and flesh. Here, upon hearing me, is when each one thinks of life, of death, of divine justice, of eternity, of spiritual life, and of good and evil. Here is where, on hearing my voice, each feels within himself the presence of his spirit, and remembers from where he comes. Listening to me, each feels for those moments identified with all his fellows, recognizing them in the depths of their being as his true brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters in spiritual eternity, closer still than those who are such only in flesh, for that is transitory upon the earth. There is no man or woman who, hearing me, does not feel my eyes upon them, and so none dare hide or dissimulate from me their blemishes. And I point them out, but not publicly, for I am the judge who never shames publicly. I tell you that among you I have discovered adultery, infanticide, robbery, vices and defects that are like leprosy on the spirit of he who has sinned. But I do not come merely to prove to you the truth of my word by demonstrating that I can uncover the failures of your heart. I wish to show you also the power of my lessons, giving you the arms to defeat evil and temptation, showing you how to achieve regeneration, awakening in your being a yearning for all that is good, elevated and pure, and an absolute revulsion for all that is ignoble, all that is false, and for all that is bad for the spirit. Today you still live the shadow days that precede the light. Nonetheless, that light, taking advantage of the small clear spots in your cloudy sky, shines through with brief rays that reach some points on the earth, touching hearts and shaking and awakening the spirits. All that have been surprised by this light have stopped in their path to ask, "Who are you?" And I have answered, "I am the light of the world. I am the light of eternity. I am truth and love. I am he who promised to return to speak to you, he whom they said was the word of God." Like Saul on the road to Damascus, they have humiliated all their haughtiness, have beaten down their pride, and humbly bowed their faces to say from the heart, "My Father and Lord, forgive me. Now I understand that without knowing it, I was persecuting you." From that instant, those hearts have become small followers, for in this third era, until this moment, there has not appeared among my new disciples an apostle of the level of he who so persecuted me in my disciples, only to later love me with such intensity. The religions sleep the sleep of centuries of routine and stagnation, while the truth has remained hidden. But those that know the commandments of Jehovah and the words of the Divine Master shall have to recognize in this voice that speaks to you now, the voice of the Spirit of Truth, promised for these times. I know that many will feel scandalized when they hear this word, but it shall be those who in their confusion do not wish to recognize that in man there exists, in addition to his human nature, a part that is spiritual. Or they who, believing in the human spirit, but welded to the routine of their traditions and beliefs, deny the existence of a path of infinite evolution for the spirit. These words I will leave written, and they will come to my disciples in the future. And they, upon studying them, will find them fresh and alive, and their spirits shall tremble with pleasure at the feeling that their Master speaks to them at that instant. Do you believe that all I have told you would be only for those who have heard me? No, beloved people. With my word I am speaking to those present and to those absent. For those of today, tomorrow, and all time. For those who have died, for those who live, and for those who have yet to be born. I am the word of love that comes to comfort those who suffer, the troubled, they who weep, the sinner, and he or she who has sought for me. And my word that, in those hearts, is the river where they calm their thirst and cleanse their impurities, is also the way that leads to the eternal dwelling of rest and peace. How can you imagine that the struggle of life, its sacrifices, vicissitudes, and trials ends in death without finding a just reward in eternity? It is therefore that my law and my doctrine, with its revelations and promises, are for your hearts the motivation, the caress and the balm of this life's journey. Only when you depart from my teachings do you feel hungry and weak. In my divine love for these human creatures, I have permitted them to scrutinize my works and to take from all that has been created, so that none might have motive to say that God is unjust because he hides his wisdom from his children. Although I formed you and gave you the gift of free will, I have respected it, in spite of the fact that man, abusing that freedom, has offended me and profaned my law. Today, I come to make you feel the caress of my forgiveness, illuminating your spirit with the light of my wisdom, so that one by one, my children return to the path of truth. The Spirit of Truth, which is my light, shines in the conscience, because you find yourselves in the foretold times, in which every mystery would be explained, so that you may comprehend that which until now has not been interpreted as it should. I have come to communicate on this spot on earth, and I will leave my word as a gift for all men. This gift will remove spiritual poverty from humanity. I will inspire in all the true form of adoration of God, as well as the way to live according to the divine law, whose fulfillment is the only thing that God will recognize in each of you. Finally, O humanity, you will know the content and essence of my word. Then you will find that my doctrine is not only the divine voice which speaks to men, but also the expression of all the spirits. My word is the voice that encourages. It is the cry of freedom and the anchor of salvation.